The 2022 Kink Launch is a bike that some people might say doesn't even deserve to be in Kink's line. It doesn't really stand out from any of the other bikes, and therefore it's kind of useless. It's $40 more than the Kink Curb, but not quite as expensive as the Kink Gap. This is the Kink Launch, and this is what you need to know about it. Alright guys, my name is Douglas, I run Dougsterbob.com and this YouTube channel, and I make BMX content to make getting into BMX super easy. That way you don't have to think so hard when you're buying your bike. It's a tough process, I totally get it, and that's why I have a bunch of helpful, free stuff in the description. Check out that description because there's a ton of stuff in there that will help you find the perfect bike. Now, with that being said, the way that I do these reviews piggybacks heavily off of the Dougsterbob scoring system and the Dougsterbob app. This has 80 different bikes in there, all ranked by quality, value, street, park, dirt, and there's more information in there than you will ever need, but it's incredibly helpful for anyone getting into the sport, and that is one of those free tools that is in the description that I just said. But let's talk about the Kink Launch. There are 3 different colors for the Kink Launch, so you need to check all 3 out before you purchase your bike. The last thing you want to do is get a terrible looking color. You will need to choose from gloss iridescent black, storm gray, and gloss galaxy green. There's really nothing special about these colors. I mean, sometimes there's a lot of colors that stand out, but none of these colors are super crazy. But newer BMX riders who might be purchasing this lower quality bike really love to have a flashy bike. And that's why Kink puts so much emphasis on having 3 different color options in this bike. The Kink Launch is going to cost $40 more than the Kink Curb, making it a $409 bike. We'll talk about whether this is worth it or not later on. The 20.25 inch top tubes means that this bike is good for someone who's in between the 5'3" to the 5'6" height. If you're anywhere in between there, this bike will fit you pretty comfortably. If you're taller or smaller than that, get a free bike recommendation from me. All you have to do is put in your information. I will check it out and I will send you a PDF with 3 bikes that are perfect for you. That way you don't have to guess. If the Kink Launch is the right size for you, keep watching this review. If the Kink Launch is not, go fill out that bike recommendation form. The Kink Launch weighs 26.25 pounds, which is about the weight of a pretty decent sized toddler. Now, some people say that this is heavy. I like to recommend people bikes under 25 pounds if they're really serious about BMX, but you can shave off an extra pound on this bike pretty easily by switching out the tires and maybe even the cranks. The Kink Launch scored a 1.7 in quality, making it a fairly low quality bike. Now, with a 1.7 quality score, it generally means that the frame, forks, and handlebars are made from weak, high tensile steel. This is a lot weaker than the chromoly option that you will see in bikes later on that usually costs a little bit more. It means that both rims are single wall and the bearings are not fully sealed. You're not getting all fully sealed bearings with this bike. Because of this low quality score, I wouldn't recommend anyone over 130 pounds to hop on this bike and ride it. If you're a bigger guy, if you weigh a little bit more, skip the Kink Launch and get something with better quality. That way it's going to withstand your weight. I'm over 200 pounds. Trust me, I've bent my fair share of high tensile steel bikes. 3 bikes that have similar quality to the Launch is going to be the Sunday Primer, the Fiend O-, and the We the People Nova. All 3 of these bikes score very similar in quality to the Kink Launch. Because of that $409 price tag and the 1.7 quality score, this bike is going to score a 3.01 in the value factor, making this not the best bike. It's not a very good bang for your buck, all things considered, because a 3 is pretty low. Now, I used the Dougsterbob app to try and find some bikes that were better quality for the $409 price tag, and I really couldn't find anything. So if you're absolutely dead set on this bike, just know you're not getting ripped off because there's nothing exactly in that price or around the price that scores higher in quality. The Kink Launch is going to be for a rider who's pretty new to the sport with a fairly low budget. They just want to get a BMX bike and start shredding, and they don't have very much experience doing so. The bike is best when ridden on dirt jumps, pump tracks, and even a little bit of skate park riding. It scores very, very low in street. It doesn't have any pegs or any hub guards or even a free coaster to unlock certain street specific tricks. So it will be best if you ride it with pump tracks, dirt jumps, or some skate parks. Since this bike is a low quality, high tensile steel bike, I wouldn't expect it to last much longer than a year, as long as you put in the effort and you do a lot of riding. There are a few things that determine how long a bike lasts, and one one of those things is how often you actually ride it. The other thing is how hard you actually ride it. If you buy a bike like this and it just sits in your garage, obviously it's going to last a lot longer than if you rode it all the time. But the bike, because of the quality, it cannot withstand to a mid-level rider and sustained abuse that you will put it through if you're experienced riding bikes. Now, I don't think the Kink Launch is a terrible bike, but it kind of confuses me why it's here. If you're really strapped, really on a budget, you're going to want to go with the Kink Curb because that bike is $40 cheaper and it's practically the same quality. If you need a better quality bike and you have a little bit more budget, you want to skip the Launch altogether and get something like the Kink Gap or the Kink Whip. I'll tell you why I think the Kink Gap is a poor choice later, but that's for a different video. Now, if you've decided that the Kink Launch is the perfect bike for you and you're wondering where should you buy it from, I'm going to put this link up here. All you need to do is click it and it's going to take you to my favorite BMX shop where I found this bike for the cheapest. This shop is super reliable and you might get free shipping on orders over $99. If you're not sure that the Kink Launch is right for you, fill out that free bike recommendation. I can look over your circumstances and curate a PDF with 3 bikes that are perfect for you. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a good rest of your day and good luck on your bike buying journey.